What is your peak performance mindset? What's a mindset that you're in when you play your best? When you understand this mindset, it means that you can work on creating that mindset. When I'm working with athletes, one of the first places that we look is what is this peak performance mindset for them? Because once we understand what the mindset is, then we get to backtrack and we get to identify the different actions that they need to take in order to create that mindset going into games. And that right there, that word, create, that's something that I want you to keep in mind. Your peak performance mindset shouldn't happen by accident. Maybe in the past it has happened by accident where you just showed up and you felt great that day and you played phenomenally that day. But what we want is we want this mindset to be in your control moving forward. When you can control your peak performance mindset, you end up playing better on a more consistent basis. Now, to be able to control your peak performance mindset, you first have to understand what that mindset is. Now, unfortunately, I cannot provide you with a general peak performance mindset. The reason for that is peak performance mindsets are personalized, right? They will vary based on the athlete. I have worked with many different athletes, many different ages, and many different sports. And while there are commonalities between different mindsets, right, and we can kind of categorize them into a few different categories, there is not one universal mindset that I have seen work for every single athlete. Some athletes like to have more of a relaxed approach, a relaxed mindset. Some athletes thrive on more of an angry or frustrated, motivated approach, right? Some thrive trying to prove other people wrong. Some play their best when they're just focused on having confidence within themselves and playing the game because they love the game. There are many different types of mindsets that you can have, but the most important thing is finding the mindset that works the best for yourself. Your peak performance mindset needs to be tailored to your personality. I've worked with many athletes whose parents have talked to me and their parents have told me that the kid is a nicer kid, right? A kid that's not really very aggressive. But then their coaches turn around and their coaches are telling them that they need to be this killer out there and they need to be really aggressive when they play. The truth is they need to play in a way that is effective, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that they have to have an aggressive and a killer mindset. That might not work for them. And if they try to have that mindset, it makes them feel like they are going against their natural personality. I experienced this with a basketball player that I can remember working with, where he was being told by his coaches that he needs to be a dog out there. He needs to be a killer, right? But for him, he was like, I just enjoy playing, and that's a distraction for me. So we worked instead on getting him to just have fun while he played, right? Enjoy the game. And that ended up helping him drive to the basket more, play better defense, which ultimately was what the coaches wanted. But the coaches were trying to get that out of him in a way that didn't really work or mesh with his personality. So that's why for you as an athlete, you have to be honest with yourself and understand what is my personality type and what's the best mindset for me based on my personality. So what I want to do is I want to walk you through a very simple exercise that you can do to create this peak performance mindset for yourself or identify the peak performance mindset that works best for you. So what you want to do first is you want to think through some of your really great games. Your past games as an athlete are data points for you. They will start to show us what mindsets are you in when you play your best versus what mindsets are you in when you don't play very well. Even if those mindsets happened by accident, that's okay. Right now we are trying to identify and piece together information, right? What is the mindset that you've had in the past when you've played well? So this is really helpful if you write it down, maybe you think through a few different games and just get an idea of what are some of my best games that I've played. Right now that's all you need is just identify those best games. The second step of this is where once you've identified those best games, try to identify and outline what the mindset was that you had during those games. This can be by using a few descriptor words like enjoying myself, having fun, focused on proving the other team wrong, trying to impress my coaches, right? Whatever it is for you. Now, when you're going through this exercise, once again, I cannot emphasize enough the importance of being honest with yourself and making it personal. If you've had people tell you that you need to have this specific mindset, but then when you're thinking about your good games, you did not have that mindset, that's okay, right? It means that mindset might not be the best one for you to have and for you to focus on going into the game, right? We have this end result, this end goal that every athlete is after, which is playing your best in the game. We know that's what you're working toward. But the truth is there are many different paths to get there. Many different paths in terms of your mindset and your approach, what you focus on, what you think about, that can help you get that end result, which is you playing your best. So once you've identified your good games, your good performances, Think about, what was my mindset like during those games? Use a few descriptor words. Some good games that I can remember playing as a baseball player involved me just feeling confident and successful throughout the game. That was something that was always on my mind. Having fun, just being loose and enjoying the game, not really worrying about the outcome too much. Because for me, my mindset was much more having fun, enjoying myself, loving the game, being present. It wasn't so much about trying to dominate the competition, trying to be a killer out there, trying to impress other people. All that only distracted me. So write that down, right? Write a few descriptors down for yourself. And then it's time to move on to step 3. All we're doing in step 3 is examining those few good performances that you've outlined and examining the good mindset and what you described as your mindset for those games. And we're just seeing if we can take information from each game and piece it together into one simple peak performance mindset statement. Right? Finally getting an idea of what is the mindset that you need to go out there and play your best. So once again, for myself, it was all about having fun, enjoying myself. So when I finally went through this exercise on my own, I created the mindset of feeling successful no matter what and having fun. And I used that feeling successful no matter what because when I was playing my best, I didn't have these big crashes if I made a mistake, right? If I got out, I didn't feel super down on myself. If I made an error in the field, I was able to bounce back quickly. And for me, if I tried to feel successful, so feel good about myself, feel confident no matter what, it helped me move on quickly. And then having fun, that was what the game was about for me. When I enjoyed the game, when I had fun, when I loved it, I ended up playing my best. So that was my peak performance mindset, feeling successful no matter what and having fun. So for yourself, just try to create this peak performance mindset based on those good games, based on the descriptions that you identified or the descriptor words and characteristics you identified from your mindsets from those few games, and just create your own peak performance mindset statement, right? And this statement does not have to make sense to other people. It doesn't even have to seem to other people like a peak performance mindset statement. Remember, this is all about you. It's all about yourself. It's all about what is the mindset that I honestly know I need in order to play my best out there. Once you have this mindset created, it's all about identifying the actions that you need to take in order to create that mindset. Because once again, we do not want your peak performance mindset to happen by accident. Because sometimes, like you've experienced in the past, it will happen, right? You'll have those games where you show up, you feel great, and you play great, but that's not consistent, right? And that's not controllable for us. You won't be perfect with this peak performance mindset. I don't want you to think that. I'm not saying that once you identify this peak performance mindset, you'll always be able to get into it. That's not the case. But you can get into it more often once you identify what it is, and then you reverse engineer that, and you piece together the different steps that you need to take. So this is where we get into pregame routine territory. A pregame routine is a combination of different actions and different exercises that you'll use days leading into a game, the night before, and the day of a game, all with the goal of generating the mindset that you want to have going into a game. Now that you know what your destination is, right? You know what your peak performance mindset is. It's time to identify the roads that will get you there. Those roads will involve your pregame routine. Now, when it comes to creating a pregame routine, I've made another video that goes into detail on a sample pregame routine you can use to help get an idea of different exercises that you might want to implement into your own pregame routine. So I've linked that other video right here if you would like to watch that to learn more about creating your own pregame routine. And if you're listening as a podcast, I've linked it in the description below. No matter what though, when you identify your peak performance mindset, you now need to turn your attention onto actions that will generate that mindset, that will create that mindset. And once you do, you start getting into this mindset on a more consistent basis. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I put out new videos each week on sports psychology and mental training. And if there are any other sports psychology topics you would like me to cover, please let me know in the comments below.